So let's talk about some of these other controls down here at the bottom. Now, this is pertaining to mapping. If I close this mapping section here, these controls go away. So these are definitely related to your mapping. I've got a couple radio buttons here. One of them is called, it's a trap. Not really. It's an ITS trap. I have no idea what ITS stands for. I really don't. But I can tell you that it is it's the default. It's the default selection. All right. It says the ITS trap mode depends upon the calculated option in the coloring tab. They are referring to the tabs over here. Now, I want to talk about this tab at another time because these are pretty significant options. but for purposes of introduction and purposes of artistic license, we can take a look at this. ITS trap. If I click norms here, all right, again, that's dependent upon what's going on over here. I see here that ITS trap and norms. I have made a change here in my scene. If I click wrap1, there's a change, and wrap2, there's a change. So without getting yourself deep into what all of this means, at least yet, from an artist standpoint, you could say to yourself, which one do I like the best? All right, wrap1, wrap2. These two wraps here will absolutely, definitely, absolutely get you in trouble when it comes to an animation. Because those bands that we see all over the place here, those bands are going to move through your animation. So they're flipping all over the place. Now, if that's the effect that you want, go for it. You got it. But if you don't want that effect of the color bands moving all over the place as you animate through the scene, stay away from these two wraps. As a matter of fact, if you don't want your colors in your scene moving, you want them consistent as you move through the scene or as you move the fractal, animate the fractal or animate the camera. If you don't want those issues, then just avoid mapping entirely. If you're putting together a still, I mean, that can be quite an interesting still. All right. So it depends upon what you're trying to do. And lastly, you have the diffuse colors up here, which has been, let's throw something in there. There we go. All right. let me put it back on ITS trap just to keep it simple. Now I have the ability here to actually combine the map in terms of the y-axis, the map, with the diffuse color. Let's pick that. All right, so the diffuse color that's been picked up here in this color adjustment band can be mixed with the y-axis colors of the map that you've selected. Let me pick a different map. Pick something here with the y-axis. There we go. I'm going to just pick something entirely different here. There we go. That's good. I mix that. That's pretty bad. But it illustrates that you can mix the mapping colors on the y-axis, the map colors on the y-axis, with the diffuse colors of from your band. You can mix those together. So, you know, you get some pretty interesting stuff going on here with your coloring. All right, so let's close this. We don't need that. I think we are in really good shape when it comes to our lighting. We've looks like we've covered everything except for the back picture. Well, I'll tell you what, then in the next session there, why don't we go ahead and cover this back picture, and we'll run through it. We'll do an example of it. We'll talk about it. And then that would put us in a position where we have covered everything pertaining to the lighting panel, which would be your lighting and your coloring. So why don't we do that? Let's end this session here. When we come back, we're actually going to do this back picture. So before I leave, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up from my MP3. I'm going to find my latest, and I'm restoring, pull up the parameters, and I've got my work area restored along the lines of the Mandelbulb 3D fractal animation that we're pursuing in this tutorial series. When we come back, we'll explore the back picture. So I'll see you in that session.